Welcome to this week's episode of the Film Pundits. We are doing this all remotely today, so this is kind of interesting. I'm joined here, as always, with Hector.
Hey, what's up? Hi, everybody.
And Augustine.
Hi, interwebs.
How you guys doing? Been a crazy week, huh?
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. We got a bunch of stuff, and then we also saw the new Ninja Turtles movie, and we're going to talk about that in another episode.
Yeah, there's lots of things to cover this week. Let's get going with the first topic.
All right, so first news, big news, which a lot of us were kind of anticipating, and we were, it was going to happen. It was bound to happen. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice moved its release date. They're no longer playing chicken with Captain America 3. They moved to March 25th, 2016. So they're going to be out about 2 months earlier. And so we're going to get that movie a little bit earlier. How do you guys feel about that, Hector? Let's start with you.
Well, first of all, I think it was the correct people that moved off of that date, because when it was first announced that Batman vs. Superman was going to go up against Captain America 3, Captain America 3 was the second movie in that order that was announced. But originally, Marvel still had that date. They just had an unannounced movie on that day. But people didn't really know that. So what people saw was, oh, Batman vs. Superman was going to move to the first weekend in May of next year, of 2016. And then a little bit after that, Marvel announced Captain America 3 is going to open on that day, opening weekend in May 2016. So people thought, oh, Marvel was the one that was being a dick and was trying to challenge. But in actuality, Marvel had that date the entire time. So for me, of the two companies that should have moved for it to be like the right, correct, polite thing to do, I'm glad it was Warner Brothers, because they really were the ones to kind of pull the dick move first and be like, oh, Marvel, you guys have a movie on here? Well, we're going to force you to move it no matter what the movie is, because we have Batman versus Superman. And I think what happened is that Guardians of the Galaxy came out and still had a crushing opening. It was awesome. It crushed it. That I think Warner Brothers was like, okay, you know what? They might beat us. Like, we're going to lose money. We're going to lose money, and it looks like they're not going to budge. So they decided to move. And I think the interesting thing, too, is that a lot of articles came out saying, oh, Warner Brothers was really, really smart to do this. Warner Brothers was really smart to grab the March opening, because now they have 2 months before a Marvel movie opens, and that's just more money for them, and Warner Brothers is really smart, and they're changing the game, and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of taken aback by that. I'm like, no, Warner Brothers was the first ones to pull the dick move and put their movie up against Marvel in a way of saying, hey, we have the more popular stuff, you should move. So my final thoughts on this are good. I'm glad somebody moved, and I'm honestly glad it was Warner Brothers. I feel like even though they were the first ones to pull that dick move, this does make them look like classy gentlemen and gentlewomen.
Augie?
I disagree with Hector completely. I think it just goes to what I've been saying lately with DC not having confidence in their projects. Like, they know they're going up against a movie that's gonna do well. Captain America 3 is gonna do well. I mean, granted, we don't know for sure, but if history has anything to tell, Captain America 3 is going to do well. And DC, like how they've been doing before, kind of, beating around the bush with their product, I think this is one of those moves again where they're like, oh, well, we want our product to be noticed no matter what. This movie has to be noticed, so they're going to move it to a date where they know they have no competition. And I think it's just a sissy move on their behalf. And I've always felt that DC is that company, unfortunately, which really sucks. But they don't have the cojones to go against Marvel.
I kind of agree. I mean, I know what you're saying, how you're saying that DC and Warner Brothers pulled a sissy move, but it's tough because my problem is that whoever decided to claim that date going up against Marvel in the first place was a bonehead move. That's what I'm trying to, what I mean? That's how I. It's like whoever did that first, whatever Warner Brothers executive was like, oh, we're looking for a date? Well, why don't we push it back to 2016? We'll just put it on that first weekend in May. Marvel will move it. Yeah. Whoever decided that was the dick. So I feel like maybe...
Right. I agree that was a dick move on their behalf. But to go back and then move it again, even though it was a dick move, just stick with your dick choice, Now you just, to me... You just look like you're scared.
Yep.
That's the
Well,
way.
I think the big thing too is like I think it would have been more of a problem had they pushed it back. Let's say they would have, instead of going to May, they went to like June, July, August.
For sure.
Then it would have looked like the movie is like having another issue.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, initially I think it was a dick move for Warner Brothers and DC to like pick the exact same date that a Marvel movie is going to open, because they already knew when Guardians was going to come out, so it was more than likely going to be a property that's already well established that's going to open on May 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't
Yeah.
want to go up against an Iron Man or a Captain America. And
Right.
to be completely honest, like my feeling is that no matter what it would have, if it would have opened on May 6th with Captain America, I think that probably Batman vs Superman would have still won the box office, because it's
Sure.
the first time we've ever seen these two characters together on the big screen.
Yeah.
You know, Captain America's the third movie, but I think the biggest thing that benefits both of them is they're going to make even more money, because you don't have half the people going to Batman, half the people going to Cap. You have people only going to see Batman and Superman, people only going to see Captain America. So it benefited Warner Brothers to open on a different day, and
Yeah.
you know, now we're starting the summer season practically in almost in like springtime now. So we all knew that DC was going to move. It was inevitable, because like you guys, like Augie was saying, it's not only they're not, I don't know if it's necessarily they're not confident in their property, but they are more afraid, because they have a lot more to lose.
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman fails, the DC universe is done.
Mhm.
Like, they're gonna have to completely start from square one again in a few years.
Yeah.
Like, Captain America 3 can fail. It won't, but it has a lot more flexibility. If Batman vs Superman is really good, then they're on a perfect path to like keep going forward.
At this point, though, if a Marvel movie fails, it's just a bad movie, and they're going to continue as planned. Do you know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
Captain America 3 comes out and it's like a bad script, or people don't like the story, or it's bad or whatever, like, Captain America's still going to be in Avengers 3. They're still going to, you know, the story's going to keep going. And I think at this point, even with Batman vs Superman, even if it's a bad movie and people are like, oh, it's so terrible, I promise you the opening weekend is going to be huge, because it's Batman vs Superman and because of curiosity. And it's going to be so big, in fact, that it'll automatically greenlight a sequel for each of them, a Justice League movie, all that junk. You know,
Right.
if that movie comes out,
But I feel like I feel like I agree. Like, it's gonna make money, but I feel like less people go to the next time.
Mhm.
Sure, but here's the thing. The Ninja Turtles movie just came out this weekend, and it was #1 at the box office, and it was terrible, and yet it got a sequel greenlit because of how
Of
much
course.
money it made.
Because of the money. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's it. So, but the thing with Warner Brothers is now they're so late in the game, they're so far behind in the game of building the cinematic universe that all of these studios are doing, that, like I said, even if that movie comes out, Batman vs Superman, and it's bad, and critics or fans rather, the audience isn't on board with it, they're still planning on doing a Shazam movie 2 months later, a Justice League movie the year after that, in which case they can switch up the creatives, they can switch up writers, directors, whatever, and stick with those same actors and continue as planned.
Yeah.
I wish they would reboot the Ninja Turtles, but they're not gonna.
I'm waiting for that.
They're gonna keep all the same stuff. They're gonna keep everybody the same. Same actor, same director, same writers.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be the same.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. See, okay,
So-
the way I'm looking at it is that there's a lot more hinging on this movie doing well, on Batman vs Superman doing well, more than Captain America 3 doing well.
Absolutely.
Because this Batman vs Superman is kicking off this DC universe.
Yeah.
They laid out all their movie dates just like Marvel did because of this movie. So if this movie doesn't do well, it's going to shake their confidence for the future. Maybe we'll only see 3 more movies after that. If Batman vs Superman doesn't do well, then they shut the whole thing down. You know, that's something that I don't want to happen, but I feel that DC would be the type of company to do that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, so in like to kind of give us some confidence in the fact that they moved the movie, they went ahead and they announced 9 theatrical release dates
Mhm.
that are from 2016 all the way to 2020, 2 movies a year, and we're actually getting 2 movies in 2016. We're going to get Batman vs Superman in March, and then we're going to get another movie in August.
Mhm.
My personal prediction is I think it's going to be Justice League. I think I think they're going to be shooting. I think once they finish the bulk of Batman versus Superman, they're going to go into shooting Justice League and Batman back to back. So I have a feeling that that's going to be the movie of 2016, or it could be the first movie of 2017, and they might shoot, like, maybe it's going to be Shazam, because The Rock keeps talking like something about Shazam. So it could be a Shazam movie in between, and then Justice League. So what do you guys think? Augie, we'll start with you this time.
I think your prediction is pretty accurate. I have a feeling that they're going to want to make their bigger moves earlier on, just to set the standard, and then they'll go on to expand just like Marvel did. I think they're really closely trying to follow the Marvel formula, where it's just like bang out these big movies, and then we can go out and expand on all these smaller movies, because people, I keep going back to this confidence thing, but I think they want to feel that their audience is confident that they can trust each other. It's sort of like a mutual trust kind of thing. So I think they'll just bang out those big movies, like you said, first, and then they'll branch out into smaller franchises after that. What about you, Hector?
I think that Batman vs. Superman is definitely going to come out March of 2016. I think the other film that's coming out in 2016 is going to be Shazam. And I think that because I'm predicting that in the next couple whatever, Warner Brothers is going to announce, hey, The Rock is going to be Shazam. We got him. He's the star. He's the big star power. He's in it. And I think that the reason they're going to use Shazam is because he's a character that is sort of removed from the rest of the core Justice League characters. He's removed from Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all of that stuff. Even though later you could plug him into the Justice League just fine, but he's removed. He's got a great standalone origin story and a great story and his own great villain and just a great concept by himself. If Warner Brothers looks at something like Wonder Woman and they get intimidated, and that's why they need to plug her into Batman vs. Superman, I bet you they can look at Shazam and be like, oh, okay, this works. This works as its own standalone story. And they can shoot it off, by themselves. They don't need Ben Affleck. They don't need Henry Cavill. And I think that they're not going to go right into Justice League after Batman vs. Superman for two reasons. I think, number one, they're going to wait to see how Batman vs. Superman turns out before they jump right into that. And number two, I think that they're going to give the actors a break. I think that Ben Affleck, from what we've seen in the press and at Comic-Con, and according to the rumors, he's not having the best time ever. So I would totally imagine that as soon as this thing is wrapped, he's like, cool, I'm done. I need a break. I need a year or something.
Right.
Before he gets back in the Batman suit. Like,
if Ben Affleck's not having a good time, they should just get him out of there, because he's playing Batman.
Yeah, seriously, if he's not having a good time, kick his ass out. We don't need that shit.
And that might happen. Listen, it happened with Hulk. They didn't immediately film Avengers after The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. They paused for a little bit. The same with the first Iron Man, and they replaced Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle in Iron Man as Rhodey, and they straight up replaced Edward Norton right before they started Avengers. So this very much could be a possibility where Ben Affleck did everybody a solid at Warner Brothers and played Batman in Batman vs. Superman. Yeah. Maybe he's having such a shitty time, and he's like, I'm getting too old for it. Like, I don't want to put on this stupid thing anymore. It's not. It was cool at first, and now it's not cool. They might replace him by the time they get to Justice League, and maybe they're going to need a little bit of breathing room. I'm just saying, I think that year, 2016, is going to be Batman vs. Superman, and then Shazam.
That would be cool. I would be excited to see that, and hopefully, like I said before, this Batman vs. Superman thing, there's so much hinging on it that we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's all a big waiting game, I think, just to see how Batman vs. Superman does.
I think the thing that interests me the most is the fact that we're gonna get 4, and this is just Marvel, DC. This doesn't include Sony. This doesn't include Fox. We're gonna get 4 to 5 superhero movies a year for the next 5-6 years. That's crazy. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool to
I'm ready
have.
For it.
Yeah, this is the era of the superheroes, which is gonna be awesome.
We're through a golden age, guys.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where it's not even a movie genre now. It's like a separate thing entirely. There's movies and then there's superhero movies. In the same way that there is video games and comic books, and in terms of media, there's just now a whole separate subsection of just superhero movies.
Yeah, it's its own thing. It's just we have our dramas, our comedies, our horror movies, and then a superhero movie is just gonna be a superhero movie.
Yeah.
So
some of the rumored titles I'm super excited about. I think it's great that Warner Brothers finally laid out a plan for their movies. Now, do I believe that everything's going to go exactly according to plan? No, because they really don't have a proven track record at this point. They don't. In fact, their only proven track record is that the follow-up to Man of Steel, which they said was going to come out on a certain day, they pushed it back and back, and then it turned into Batman versus Superman. So that's their only proven track record right now, is that things change as they go, and that's how Warner Brothers is making this movie and probably their future movies. Marvel, however, when Marvel says they're going to make a movie, they make a movie.
Yeah.
Trust those guys. But what I'm excited about is Warner Brothers said they're doing not a Green Lantern movie, but a Green Lantern Flash team-up movie, which I think is really cool because we've never seen a team-up movie like that. Marvel hasn't made Iron Man and Hulk science bros. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really interesting. I personally would have loved to have seen not a Green Lantern movie, but a movie that comes out that's called The Green Lantern Corps, and it stars the African-American Green Lantern, John Stewart, and it has the whole, I would have loved that if they went back to space and they're like, you know what, let's give this another shot, but let's go full on with it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just as interested and intrigued by the Green Lantern Flash possibility, because that could be a lot of fun.
That could be just as cool too. Those two characters are awesome.
Yeah. And I think also like some of the other movies that are in that lineup, they're not going to be all of like the most well-known characters. Like one of them is probably going to be the Sandman with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Right. The other one potentially could be Dark Justice.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. There was a report that came out a few months back where it had Wonder Woman, the Flash, Green Lantern team up, a proper sequel to Man of Steel. And also a Batman movie, so I'm curious to see what these titles are going to be announced. I mean, the one that comes out in August, there was an interview with the president of president of distribution of Warner Brothers, and I think he said that by the end of this month, we should start finding out what some of these titles are going to be. So I'm looking forward to seeing.
Oh yeah,
what the other
a month.
Movie is. Yeah. They were saying by the end of this month, we should know. But it's like Hector was saying, their track record, it hasn't been solid, so we'll have to see what really happens.
I'm taking everything that they say with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate to like kind of put yourself in that position, but you did it, so now you have to dig yourself out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next thing which I thought was pretty cool. Zack Snyder called into a radio station in Detroit because they were kind of hassling Aquaman on the radio. He called in to defend Aquaman. And part of the thing that he was saying was like, no, I'm not saying that the guy's in my movie or anything, but he's cool. He's cool. He's got cool abilities. He not only can he talk to fish, but his trident can pierce Superman's skin and all this kind of stuff. And he was saying if he's done right, he can be a really badass character. So that was part of the reason why I thought maybe Justice League would be next after Batman versus Superman, because they've already, it hasn't been confirmed by Warner Brothers, but Jason Momoa's name is all over Aquaman. And so that's the only thing that kind of leads me to think that maybe they're not announcing him because he's not in Batman vs. Superman, unless it's like a cameo that's like a one-scene cameo. But maybe it's because he's going to be a bigger role in Justice League. I don't know. How do you guys think? What do you guys think of this whole Aquaman thing?
Well, I'll let Hector go first because he freaking loves Aquaman. So
I do. I kind of do actually.
That's why I'm letting him go first.
It's real lame, but I kind of do. I just read a bunch of great Aquaman comics, and they were really good. And
was it the New 52?
The New 52 stuff, yeah. Jeff Johns, it was great. It was really, really great. And I think that there's a couple things you can do to make the character to sell the audience on the character. First of all, I think he is going to be in Batman vs. Superman only because everybody else is going to be in this movie, and including the kitchen sink. So I think that it's not a stretch to say that that they're going to have maybe an after the credits scene or something towards the end of the movie. I don't know. We'll see. There's been rumors that Aquaman's going to be pissed because of the world engine that was destroying the Indian Ocean in Man of Steel, and like Aquaman's going to show up and be like, "Hey, what's up, Superman? You let a bunch of fish and my people die," or something, as a way to kind of bring him into the story, which is fine, which makes sense. But truthfully, I think that if it were me, I would have waited to do an Aquaman movie later, and I would not put him in the Justice League because of this fact, because of the fact that he's a joke. Because of the fact that people kind of make fun of him. It's the same situation with Ant-Man and the Wasp. They were original founding members of the Avengers, but they knew early on, we're not going to try to squeeze these guys into the Avengers movie. They're a tough sell. We need to hold off on them, and we're going to replace them with the Black Widow and Hawkeye, which are just humans, so that's fine. And I think that Aquaman is deserving of his own movie, and I think that the way he was used in the newish Justice League comic where he does come up and do a badass thing, it was cool or whatever. But it always feels like the writers and the storytellers are trying too hard to have Aquaman show up and do a badass thing.
Yeah.
I don't want, in the same way that the first Thor movie explored Thor's personality and his character and the fact that he was a dick and he had lessons to learn, I want Aquaman to have room to breathe underwater, but I want him to have room to go into his story. And I think that if you treat the character like they did Thor, where you explain his backstory, his upbringing, the fact that he's as American as Clark Kent. He was raised in like Maine, on a lighthouse in Maine. He's an American kid, and it wasn't until he's a teenager that he learned he could do all this Aquaman stuff. But treat him like Thor and make his trident a huge part of his character. Make it like Mjolnir. Make it like Thor's enchanted weapon. Give his trident all of that weight. So it's not just Aquaman. It's Aquaman and his trident. Because Thor just doesn't show up by himself. It's Thor and Thor's hammer, man. And you know that, and it's a jokey thing. It's funny. It's easy to make fun of, but it's a badass thing. So if you do that, and I'm stoked that Zack's, he seems to get it. And I'm looking, whether it's Jason Momoa or not, I'm looking forward to it. I just would have done things differently. But either way, hopefully we'll just get a cool Aquaman story someday. That's what I'm looking forward to. Maybe his own movie. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Augie?
Well, I don't take Aquaman as seriously as Hector does. But I do agree with you that people view him as a joke at this point, Most of the stuff you see about Aquaman is, his power is he can talk to fish.
Yeah.
Great, you can breathe in the water. Spectacular. But there's other cool elements. I just keep going back to seeing Aquaman in the Justice League animated series where he was a badass. If they treat him that way, I mean, I guess you could say that with anybody, though. If they write a good story for whatever character, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Zack, he kind of wants people to treat Aquaman with respect, which he deserves. I'm not gonna lie. Aquaman does deserve a little bit of respect, but at this point, I don't know if people are willing to give him that. And I mean, are people really ready to see Aquaman?
I think so. Because we just watched a movie with a talking raccoon and a talking tree.
Very true.
By the end of that movie, dude, audiences not only respected those characters, but loved those characters. And it's
yeah, those end up being their favorite characters.
Yeah.
It's because of the way they were portrayed.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's all it takes.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. If you write an awesome Aquaman story, people are going to love Aquaman. Maybe it's going to take this movie to change people's minds. Even though it's a joke, people see it that way. I don't think DC will do it because, to me, I think they're pussies. But if people see it as a joke, maybe DC won't do it. If I was in charge of DC, I'd be like, let's get somebody who understands and respects Aquaman and do this.
You got it. I think what's going to happen is going to be the exact same as comic books. In the world of comic books, if something isn't selling, they just put Batman in it. So in this new movie that's coming out, they're going to have Batman in this movie. At one point, Batman's going to turn to Aquaman and be like, hey, that's Aquaman. He's cool. And he's going to turn to the camera and be like, he's cool, guys. He's cool. And all the fanboys and all the people around the world are going to be like, oh, Aquaman's cool. I always liked him. He's really cool. Yeah, Batman. Whatever you say, Batman.
Yeah.
That's all. Batman. I love you, Batman.
That's what it's going to take, I think. But I wish somebody would get the balls and just do it. But with this schedule coming up, I hope somebody has that lined up. Maybe 4 or 5 movies down.
Yeah, I think Aquaman will get his own movie at some point, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Jason Momoa will do as Aquaman. I'm like the one thing I picture in my head is a scene of like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman and whoever else like near a body of water or like a port, and you see these huge waves starting to form and this like crazy thunderstorm, and you see Aquaman just like crash, like just come out of the water, just land on this port, and he's just like with his trident, he's like, listen, you guys are messing around with the wrong freaking guy. Like, I'm about to end your life right now if you guys keep
him coming out on like a tidal wave of sharks, which would be awesome.
Dude, yeah.
And they just like come onto the land.
Like some sort of water tornado that's made up of sharks, like a tornado shark thing, like some, just
Sharknado.
Cool. What's that? I don't know what that is.
Sharknado, maybe. So one of the next topics we got here is which I completely agree with, is the success of Guardians of the Galaxy proves that DC can start with Justice League. They don't need to start with individual movies to build up their universe.
Yeah.
Hardcore disagree. Hardcore disagree. But go on, Adam.
You
Go
think
ahead.
so?
Yeah. But go ahead.
Okay, Adam. Continue, Adam. Let's see what you have to.
Okay, so you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like, okay, it's obviously nowhere near as well known as like the Justice League, but in that one movie, they were still able to give us the most important parts of each character's backstory, and then use those characters to tell one cohesive story. And I feel like the characters from Justice League, they're well known enough that you can give enough backstory in one movie to introduce some of those characters, put them into one movie, and then from there expand on their story. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to do a complete origin, but you expand on what's been built upon in one movie. So, and almost from like a marketing / filmmaking side, it almost will help you get more people to then go watch those. Because if you make those characters interesting in Justice League, if people really dig Wonder Woman, if they really like Cyborg or Aquaman or Batman, then they're automatically going to want to go watch a Wonder Woman movie or a Batman movie to see what's next, like where their story goes. Yeah. So I don't know, like to me, like I feel like that movie kind of proved that you don't have to start how Marvel did. You don't have to start from square one. You can go a little bit bigger and then break apart and go in every opposite direction.
I agree with you, Adam. And just to expand on that, it's like, okay, think of it this way. Think of it this way, Hector. Hold on. Give me a sec. Think of it this way. We all became friends, right? I didn't know your guys' backstory right off the get-go. Do you think, like, when I come up to people, I'm like, well, tell me all about your life because I need to know everything about you before I become friends with you? It doesn't work that way. I think it's endearing, and some of my favorite movies have been where you get to know, you jump in the middle of this story, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? And you slowly find out what's going on, sort of like what they did in Lost. You know, you didn't know any of their backstories, but the interesting part was making the movie interesting by revealing little bits and pieces of it as you go along if people like it. So I think that it would be great to see, for us to just jump into that movie, not give too much backstory, and then, you know, make the characters a little more endearing by revealing their you know, whatever they had to go through, their past.
Gentlemen, listen, you're not wrong. You're completely, totally right in everything that you're saying. And in fact, Guardians of the Galaxy is a great example of a movie where you don't have to know characters' backstories to jump right into an adventure and have a good time. Mm-hmm. The point is I don't think that movie necessarily proves that this is the better way to go or the ideal scenario. I think that what this proves is, hey, Warner Brothers kind of wrote themselves into a corner here by not doing these setup separate superhero movies the way Marvel did. So now, because Warner Brothers didn't do it that way, they're going to have to do it their own way, and that's the only way they got. It might not be ideal, but it's the only way they've got. But hey, don't worry, because Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and phew, okay, good thing. That movie was cool. So you know what? With this sort of Plan B scenario, the Justice League movie could come out, and we could get a good movie still, guys. Of course, but that's not what I think the argument is. I think that the argument is that people are saying online that, like, that's the way that they should go, is do the reverse of Marvel, and they should do a big Justice League movie and then spread out from there. Now, listen, I know a lot of people that didn't see any of the Marvel movies, but they saw Avengers first, and I promise you, each one of those people thought that Captain America was not the best character in that movie. Rightfully so. Right? If you remember, we opened with that movie, and he's already in modern times, and he has a quick flashback of World War II, and then he's a soldier, and then he puts on a goofy suit, and then blah, 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 blah. The idea, though, is that with the Justice League and these characters, if they had done it the way that Marvel did, or the way that the animated series back in the 90s did, where Batman got his own show for years, Superman got his own show for years, and then we got to the Justice League, we got to spend time with these characters and sort of watch them grow and understand their points of view a little bit. The point is that the big deal is that there were separate franchises that unite as one. The big deal is that the Justice League, as it forms in the story of the comic books, it is not the first thing that these characters do. These characters exist and breathe and live on their own for a while until one of them gets the idea in their head, hey, we should team up. And that's a cool, big, epic moment. When you cut right to the cool, big, epic moment, it sort of underplays the cool, big, epic moment. Do you know what I mean? The biggest, most important shot in the Avengers movie is the 360 where all the heroes are finally united. That's the money shot. That's the one that people care about. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy is a different animal entirely. So to compare it to Justice League and say, oh, a team can work, it's unfair. Even though the Guardians characters, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Groot, and Rocket Raccoon, were created by different writers and artists throughout Marvel history and eventually put together later, they changed stuff for the movie to make them fit together. They changed stuff for the movie to make them fit together better. They changed Drax's backstory. They changed Gamora's backstory. It doesn't really matter. They changed Star-Lord's backstory to write the best possible movie, and they had the freedom to do that because nobody really cared about these characters. If they were to change Wonder Woman's backstory heavily to just get her to fit into Batman vs. Superman, people are going to be mad. They're going to be like, what happened to Themyscira? What happened to the island of Amazons? What happened to this? What happened to, if they change Green Lantern, if they change the Flash to get him to plug in the way that Guardians of the Galaxy did, but nobody is aware about or would care because it's not a big deal because they're the Guardians of the Galaxy, then people are going to be mad if they make those changes to Justice League. All I'm saying is that this movie doesn't prove, like, through reverse engineering, oh, this is a better way to do it. No. The truth is that DC shot themselves in the foot when they said to Christopher Nolan, make 3 Batman movies, but don't worry about crossover. Don't worry about it. We'll do that later. We'll catch up later. Well, he made 3 great movies, but now they're playing catch-up. That's what they're doing. The fact that they didn't plan this sort of stuff when they were making Man of Steel, and it wasn't until after the movie came out, everybody asked Warner Brothers, hey, are you going to have Batman in this? Wonder Woman? Are you guys going to do Justice League? And they're like, well, I guess if everyone's asking about it, fine, we'll do it. It's just, it's unfair to compare the Justice League, which is a completely different entity, to the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is this little fun one-off team of misfits, and you can do whatever you want to with them, and it's fine because you can do whatever you want to with them. That's all I'm saying. So,
I feel like you have a lot of flexibility though with Justice League because we've never seen any characters from the Justice League in a movie except for Batman and Superman, and this Batman is completely not even related to any other previous incarnation. So, I feel like they do have the flexibility to mold things. Should they change the most primary key elements of the characters to fit them into the franchise? No. But if you give yourself the flexibility to kind of mold it in a different way where you don't have to start, because let's be honest, like if they were to start exactly from where Marvel were to start, I wouldn't be interested in it because I'm like, I want DC and Warner Brothers to give me something different, some different path. Like, I want to get to the Justice League movie a different way than Marvel got to the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And
it's a bummer, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the comic book community compared to like the just like film audiences. It's such a small percentage that while they have to take some of those things into consideration, like key elements of the character's story, it's most likely not going to be like that big of a concern to them. Like it is, but it's not huge.
Listen, you're probably right. An example I can think of is for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, they changed up Drax's backstory a little bit and said he comes from an alien race, first of all, that they sort of changed up. And then they said his people are literal. He'll take everything literally. That's not from any comic book at all. That's not true in the case of Drax. They did that so that he would be a really funny character in the movie, and it worked, and it was great. The only thing I can think of that would be a similar example is if they made Justice League, and even if they had the Flash be the character of Barry Allen, who's kind of like the quintessential Flash. But I think Barry Allen's a super boring dude. Sorry, Internet. He's a super, he's a nice guy, but he's a boring, clean-cut, cookie-cutter character from the 50s, and he doesn't have much of a personality. If they change his personality to be more like Wally West, the funny Flash, just to make it work better in the movie because they would need a character that was funny, I don't think people would mind. I think it'd be the same thing. People would be like, whatever, it's fine. He's like an amalgamation of Barry Allen and Wally West. It doesn't matter. That's kind of what they ended up doing in the Justice League cartoon show anyway. It's the same thing, Yeah. So maybe you guys are right. Maybe I'm overreacting. But I don't think that Guardians of the Galaxy necessarily proved that DC is like on point. I just think that Guardians was a good movie, and hopefully Justice League will be a good movie.
Let's hope.
I feel like I got nerd spanked, you guys.
No, what?
I feel like my nerdy dad just schooled me.
Son, come here. Come here, son.
Let me tell you something.
I need to tell you about Drax the Destroyer. How many times have I told you about Drax the Destroyer? No, that's never going to be a conversation in my house when I have kids one day. That's terrible.
You know what? I don't believe you. I really don't believe you.
No, Mike. This is going to be my household when I'm a dad someday. Oh, you like sports? Okay.
Uh,
I don't know. Go talk to your mom. I don't know. Good to see you. How's school? Good. Bye. I can't.
oh my God.
It's gonna happen.
All right, so let's go to the next topic before we get ourselves in trouble here.
I know, yeah.
So one of the I don't know. Finally, one of the okay. So Sony's track record with Spider-Man, everything, you know,
Yeah.
they finally, well, not finally, but they're the first studio to actually come out and say that they are working on getting the first female-led superhero movie. Well, I don't know if they said superhero, but just a movie with one of their franchisable characters. What character do you guys think that will be, and what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, right now I think it's I think with the Marvel moves, they're kind of just doing it to be on trend, which kind of it's this kind of shitty thing to say because women should already this shouldn't even be an issue at this point. Just having a woman superhero shouldn't even matter. But at this point, it's sort of like a trendy thing to say, oh, well, we're with. It's kind of like back in the '70s. We're with the women's lib thing too. You know, it's like it. I think they're making a big deal about it. We're like, hey guys, don't forget about us. We're doing stuff too. I hope. I mean, a lot of the speculation has been with Spider-Woman. That's what I've been seeing quite a bit. Is there a female version of Carnage too? I think I've been seeing that stuff.
There have been female characters that have worn like a symbiote
The
suit.
symbiote, yeah.
So they've been kind of like female Venom or Lady Venom or just a female symbiote, but they're really minor. It's not really super important.
Yeah. So I hope they go with something. Maybe I don't know.
Wait a
kooky.
minute. Wait. Hang on. Augie, are you thinking of that image that people posted on the internet after this news came out, where it was it was Gwen Stacy?
Yes.
It was like a blonde girl, and she had a Carnage face, and she
She
said
had a
something
Carnage
like,
face. I thought it was something from a comic book. Yeah.
It is from a comic. It's from Ultimate Spider-Man. You're right. That was like a clone of Gwen Stacy, and that story was tweaked a little bit. She was a clone, but she was sort of like also a symbiote creature on her own who was cloned to think it was Gwen Stacy. It's this really weird little sci-fi thing. But that was a great image because it said something like I have no idea what's going on right now. I don't know what I'm doing. Something like that, and people were saying like this just sums up Sony right now, like because they announced a female-driven movie that takes place in their universe, and then they announced a Venom movie that was going to be called Venom Carnage, like Venom : Carnage. So people are like, okay, they're going to try to make like a Venom or Carnage or both symbiote movie. They're going to do a female movie. They don't even know what they're doing with Spider-Man at this point.
Exactly.
Right? It just really feels like they're just throwing whatever at the wall and seeing what sticks. At this point, it's all talk because, again, they don't have a game plan. They don't have a proven track record the way Marvel Studios does, Sony. So
I think this is the first time we've actually talked about Sony in all our episodes. It's like, what? Like they're so behind the game that we don't even consider them at this point, which is kind of crappy because they have one of the best characters ever made.
They have the best character, Augie.
One of
the best character ever made.
Adam, can you turn off his camera, please?
Yeah, I'll argue with you on that one, but yeah, you know, it's like it's one of those things. Like, I agree that it shouldn't be an issue to have.
No,
we should have had a female superhero movie by now. Like, we should have had a Wonder Woman movie. Black Widow could have easily had a movie. You know, and it all comes back to the whole thing with like making Thor female in a comic. It's like, why, like. Either make new characters or use characters that already exist, put them in a movie, just like have faith in it. Have faith that like a female can lead a freaking movie. It's completely possible. Like if it's a good movie or if it's a good script, a good actress, a good director, just like in any other male-driven movie, it can be good. You know, it's like it's ridiculous.
There's a rumor, guys, that in the next Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, that the character Carol Danvers is going to cameo or appear or be a part of it, and she eventually becomes Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like at this point, it's just a matter of time before Marvel Studios fits that into their game plan. It's a shame that it hasn't happened already. I totally agree with you there. It's a shame that an African American or minority character hasn't already been a part of their game plan. But I think it's a matter of time before we get a Captain Marvel movie because they're just going to introduce her in Avengers and then she's going to get her own movie. I think it's a matter of time before we could get a Black Widow movie. I think it would be great if we got a movie that was called Black Widow, but it also co-starred Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yeah.
Called Black Widow, and she was the star. I think we could do that, and I think that it's a matter of time before we get Black Panther or a more minority character. I mean, we're getting a Luke Cage TV show in a couple of years, so Marvel already has it on their radar. It's a shame that it hasn't been part of their plan yet, but I think of all the companies to do it, it's going to be Marvel. I think that Sony, talking about which female character, I think it would be really smart if they did Spider-Woman. That could be really cool and different and interesting. She's a character that nobody really knows about, and they could take advantage of that. The other rumor is that it's going to be Black Cat or Felicia Hardy, and she was played by an actress in Amazing Spider-Man 2 in a very small role. I don't want it to be that character because of the fact that she just had a very small role in Amazing Spider-Man 2. If she's in Amazing Spider-Man 3 and they expand her role a little bit more, then give her a movie. But it just feels like too much too soon just to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like you said. I feel like they're just throwing shit up on the wall and seeing what sticks.
It would be like if Sony wanted to make a spin-off movie starring Stan Lee just because Stan Lee was in the Spider-Man movies as a cameo. Like, it's a cameo. Like, you can't do that. He's not
Yeah.
So yeah. And as far as the Venom Carnage thing, brother, right? I mean,
they need to get that character away from Sony.
They have a second chance to do it right, you guys. A second chance after Spider-Man 3, and they're still going to do it wrong.
Yeah,
they're not going to go the classic route of having a buff Eddie Brock, get the symbiote after Spider-Man discards it, and then do it the right way. They're gonna do this. I just think that they should put aside all of their plans and focus on Amazing Spider-Man 3 and have that movie come out next, starring Andrew Garfield, and then after that do a movie where he fights the Sinister Six, and then after that do whatever the hell you want. But they're not. They're coming out with the Sinister Six before Amazing Spider-Man 3, which is the stupidest thing, unless they're planning on having us spend 2 hours with bad guys just so that we can get to know them better, and then in Amazing Spider-Man 3, he fights the bad guys. It's like, that's just bad movie making.
That's terrible.
I don't want to do that. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's a waste. As Charles Barkley would say, that's terrible. That's just terrible. Real waste. I mean,
it just depresses me that Spider-Man is not in Marvel, it was a terrible move back then, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. Listen, I think that
that's a whole other episode.
In the past 2 movies that Sony has made, I think that there are moments of brilliance, and there are moments that are so pure Spidey, and they get it.
Yeah.
Little tiny moments where I'm like, oh, that's making me cry. That's so good. And then the rest of the movie is generic and crappy and a missed opportunity, and you're like, what? And you're scratching. You're like, really? They did that? So it's weird. It's a shame, is what it is.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what Sony does with Spider-Man. Like, I personally, I didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 2, and whatever movie they do next, even if it is Black Cat, but like you were saying, I agree. You don't give a character that has, like, a 2-scene cameo a full movie. Nobody knows who the hell that character is. It's tough. They would have to she would have to have a bigger expanded role in Sinister Six or an expanded role in Spider-Man 3, and then you give her her own movie. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But two small things really quick. One of them was Josh Brolin actually was being interviewed, and he was saying that before. It sounds like from what he was saying that before we see Thanos in the Avengers 3, we're gonna see him at least 2 or 3 more times actually. Throughout other cinematic movies. What movies do you guys think it is? So we've obviously saw him in one quick shot in the Avengers, a scene in Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll probably see him again in Avengers: Age of Ultron.
We will.
What other 1 or 2 movies do you think we'll see him in?
Guardians 2, obviously.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's it. I think that they're going to tease him again at the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron, because just in case there are people that didn't see Guardians of the Galaxy, but then they're going to go see Avengers because Avengers is a huge franchise, that they want to remind the audience, hey, listen, remember that guy at the end of the first movie? We didn't forget about him. We got plans for him, okay? He's the Emperor of our universe. He's the Emperor. He's Emperor Palpatine. We got plans for him. He's going to come back. So they're going to tease him. Maybe at the end of Avengers 2, he finally is going to get an Infinity Stone, because the poor bastard doesn't even have one, and there's been 4 of them in the movie so far. So maybe that'll happen. Like, maybe the scene will be him showing up to like the collector's room from Guardians of the Galaxy, Benicio del Toro, and just taking a damn stone, just like killing him or something. Like maybe that's what they'll tease, and then we'll follow up with that in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then again we'll see him in Avengers 3 when he comes to Earth and wreck shit.
Yeah, that I agree with Hector. That would be awesome. I just hope they don't build up Thanos too much to where when he's finally doing stuff, we're like, oh, that's it? You tease him 10 times and that's it?
Augie, keep the faith. Keep the faith. He's going to do cool shit when he gets to Earth. He's going to be badass.
I believe in Marvel, but I'm just hoping they're just not teasing us for too long and then...
No. Don't let yourself fall into the trap. Don't let yourself become sick of him, because really we've barely seen him thus far. So don't get sick of him yet. I promise you, he's not gonna overstay his welcome. You're not gonna get blue balls. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Just wait until he shows up. They're spending years on this guy. I'm guaranteeing you that they have so many cool stuff planned for when he fights the Avengers that we're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe he could do that. I can't believe this. I'm positive it's going to go down like that.
Hector, you just built it up even more for me. So the blue balls just got worse.
So on a final note, we're going to end this off talking about something that we're actually going to talk about more in depth in the next video, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yay. The movie opened this weekend with $93.7 million. That's
impressive.
And Paramount, of course, because hey, it made close to $100 million. So what do? You greenlight a sequel to a movie that's, So we're gonna get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, June 3rd, 2016.
Can we talk about this on the next one?
just give me just before we wrap up, just give me your without talking too much about the movie. As if you've never seen the movie before, your initial just first reaction to even hearing that A, it made almost $100 million, and B, the fact that they've already greenlit a sequel.
My first initial reaction is. People must like money, and the movie must have had a lot of children in it, or children sitting in the seats to watch it. That's my thing, and they must have sold a lot of toys.
Good call. I think that the 3D price increase also adds to that.
Yeah.
That 93 million, right? I mean, it made probably about the same as Guardians of the Galaxy still, which is impressive, but I think that people were just curious. They're curious to see if it. I think most of the people that went and saw it are diehard Turtle fans, and they were like, "Listen, I know it could be bad, but I have to go see for myself."
Yeah.
And I would be surprised to see, in the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy had the highest grossing Monday of the year, just because of positive word of mouth. Everyone was like, "Dude, this movie's awesome." That it made a bunch of money on a Monday night. I want to see how well Ninja Turtles does tomorrow night. It's Sunday right now. I want to see how much money they make on a Monday.
Right. I want to see that. I want to see how quickly it dies off.
Exactly. I did my part, you guys. Okay, I got my car towed this weekend, and I convinced the tow truck driver, "Hey, don't go take your kids to see Ninja Turtles." He's like, "Oh, I think I was going to because my kids." I said, "Don't. Do not take your children to see Ninja Turtles. Go take them to see Guardians of the Galaxy, man. I'm telling you, Ninja Turtles was bad." He was like, "All right, cool, thanks, man. I did my part."
You're doing your part in the universe.
Where were you, America?
You're better than a superhero at this point.
That's why I went and saw. That's why I went and paid. People are like, "Why would you pay?" I'm like, "I paid so you don't have to. I'm trying to do you a solid, man. Don't go see it."
I only paid matinee, so.
Yeah. Well, there you go. See.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap this out, and we're gonna move on to our next video, which we're gonna do a review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But in the meantime, you guys can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/thefilmpundits. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thefilmpundits. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, all under the Film Pundits. And Augie, where can people find you on the internet?
Zombie Guts. I don't even know if I'm doing it right. Zombie Guts 15, Instagram and Twitter. Either one, same thing.
Hector?
You guys can find me online at facebook.com/HecTerminator. Friend request me, I'll do it. I don't care. Maybe just message me that you are watching the Film Pundits, so you don't look like a random stranger, and then I'll accept your friend request and give you updates, I guess. Find me on Twitter at HectorIsFunny. which I am not, but I'm sorry. That's my Twitter handle.
And you can find me guys on all social media just under Adam Hlavik. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. See ya.